"Fuck it," the general said as the alien mothership came in to land. "Summon Cthulhu." It had been a long and drawn-out war. Centuries of warfare against the indomitable strength of the off-worlders had caused rapid technological advances on Earth. Automobiles were traded for frictionless hovercraft, ballistic weapons for energy propulsion systems, and quiet homesteads in the country for staggeringly large domiciles which stretched into the atmosphere, housing hundreds of thousands in only a city block miles high. Rather than living for things like love, peace, and family, society was fighting for its life against a Herculean opponent from the stars. The people from Earth detected the invading force about 20 years before they arrived, and they fortified everything they could. The forces from Earth had established AI-manned military bases on the other planets in the solar system. They'd made defense mechanisms which could destroy an entire otherworlder transport ship and then use the wreckage to build more machines to fight against them. The invading force held terrible power. They seemed to have no fear of death, no need to mourn their kind who had been incinerated before their eyes. They simply kept coming, kept going. Those who had been captured would not speak, and even when tortured, simply begged for death until it was given, and they had strength in numbers. While 100 might be killed, another 1,000 might be birthed in the mothership in only an hour. All they needed was energy. Every time they captured another base, they didn't man it. They just converted it to energy in their mothership. They would use anything, asteroids, shuttles, people. They converted it all. And from this energy, more of them came. The people from Earth fought like hell against the oppressors, but they were trapped in their solar system. They had no access to energy from other suns, no way of renewing their resources. And so the two forces fought, locked in battle over the course of several hundred years. But as went time on, things became increasingly dismal for Earth. Slowly but surely, Earth gave ground. By the time Mars was taken, the people from Earth were getting desperate, looking for any answer, any ingenious realization which could save them. Many things were tried and many things failed. They were losing this fight. On the day the mothership landed in the capital, everyone was waiting with bated breath, hoping that the leader could come up with some compromise, hoping for anything other than extinction, anything other than a whole planet being extinguished. The feed of the Capitol building was live all over the planet. Everyone watched as a force of invaders walked unresisted into the Oval Office. Everyone watched the off-worlder queen stroll into an empty room. What the world did not see on their live stream, thousands of miles away, was where the president was just finishing up the geometric symbols he'd drawn all over the room, where he was pouring the fresh blood into the shallow maze carved into the floor. Everyone did not see the cavernous pit look open like the mouth of some subterranean behemoth. The world did not see him gaze longingly at the picture of his family before setting it at the edge of the pit, before chanting the ancient words and casting himself into the pit. Nobody heard the dull thump of his body as it was caught in a great cold hand, the size of a football field. What everyone did see, whether or not they were watching a broadcast, was what happened when the Old One woke. They did see the laws of space and time break. They did see the distortions in reality. They saw as the skyscrapers and cities curved in on themselves, crushed under their own weight. They saw and felt all the space stations and aeroplanes being pulled inescapably to Earth. They heard the screaming of lost ones, ones who had met this terrible force before. They felt themselves thrown into an infinite loop of being torn apart seam by seam and then pieced together all wrong. For the first time, the off-worlders felt fear. They became fear. They were not wanted here, and they knew it. They felt themselves become molten, melting in endless pain. They felt themselves glistening with immobile fragility, knowing that a single touch would shatter them. They saw their queen peel like an orange, then watched her insides decay like old fruit in the dark in just a matter of seconds. Everything pulsed. The hills rolled over each other like waves, while the buildings folded into each other, crushing everyone and everything inside. After everything the Old One saw as unnatural was gone and buried beneath the mountains, it was time for growth. Trees sprang up wildly, covering the hills. Grass grew like fire on the plains, and flowers and ivy crept over everything all in an instant, caressing the hillsides. Somewhere there were survivors. People had made it, and they would survive. They would repopulate as they had before. This was not the first time the Old One had to protect the people from Earth, and it would not be the last. With his job done once more, he sunk back to the deep innards of the earth and rested his eyes. He would slumber here until he was needed again.